Hey, it's been a while. I started coaching a tier 3 team in NA and haven't had as much time to edit videos. I'm gonna do my best to put out some more content now, but it's likely gonna be a little bit on the shorter side and probably less edited since I don't have as much time to put in. Alright, on to the video. We're gonna take a look at the first couple of games of Lotus we've gotten in lock-in and start to talk about how the fundamentals of the map are shaping up. We're gonna take a look at both the Karmine Corps vs FPX game and C9 vs Paper X. At a top level, most of the early round is played out in A and C lobby, which is pretty much what everyone expected. As comps begin to show, a couple of patterns have become clear. The defensive default is generally to shut down A lobby and prevent the attack from getting out towards rubble. The main reason for doing this is that when the attack takes A control, the defense is in an extremely awkward position. Taking A control essentially opens 4 lanes through breakable door, stairs, towards A site, and through tree, allowing for splits towards B, pushing into spawn through stairs, and A hates through lane and tree. By maintaining A lobby control, the defenders can lean players away from A site and leave only a few players controlling the main A choke point. Each team had a different way of doing this. I was a big fan of how C9 did it, so let's take a look at in-depth. Cloud9's basic take includes an instant relabel as well as flash to stun up anyone trying to get out of the A choke point, as well as giving you a flash and info based on whether anyone came up. Omen one way on the doorway cuts anyone off from flowing through the door afterwards, and then Zelsis slides across to rubble in order to post up on a crossfire angle. Vanity sometimes sends his paranoia from B towards the choke point as well for further util spam on anyone trying to come through, and sometimes Leaf joins the take to post a camera up for mid-round control. Every team had some variation of this A shutdown. Here's Paper X, FPX, and Karmine Corps. With this heavy defensive pressure to shut down A, this puts the A orb firmly favoring the defenders. However, most of the time, 3 bodies are committed towards the A control. This starts to shape how the map is generally played. In response to the A shutdown, the attackers have 2 main options. The first is the more common option, which is taking map control on the opposite side of the map. What's generally been happening is map control towards both C lobby and B main, guaranteeing double orbs, giving an ult economy advantage to the attackers. I want to highlight how Karmine Corps dealt with taking this control, as I really like their approach. Karmine Corps utilized the Viper orb to take the initial control, smoking off the initial C choke to get around any potential one-ways. Sky Flash and a Sova Recon were then used to determine whether anyone is contesting Mound, taking the fights after the Viper orb is picked up. The Omen Smoke is used to one-way the headshot angle on the C choke and establishing control to grab the orb. Once C lobby control is established, Viper picks up her orb and rethrows it towards the doorway, picks it up again, and repositions it here. This orb is key as it functions as a lurk orb that creates extra pressure on the defenders. When this orb is up, the attackers have the potential of looking at either of these 2 lanes, forcing the defenders to either have 2 players committed to C site or have a passive info tool such as an alarm bot covering one side. Of course, the attackers can break this utility, continuing the pressure on the defense to rotate an extra body towards C. You can still do a smoke like this to pressure C site without the Viper orb. You can use any orb smoke, but it's definitely strong to have the gas cycling Viper orb as a constant pressure point throughout the round. Once the orb is established, Karmine Corps often left Viper behind in C lobby, went to alarm bot front B and get the orb, and then go re-clear A lobby. By going into A so late, all of the A control utility has long been used and you're instead fighting into whatever extended hold has been established. So in summary, the attack usually responds to the A shutdown by taking B and C control, and often can mid or late round re-aggress into A, establishing map control all over the map. Now the defenders usually have manpower towards A at the start of the round, and then they'll rotate players off towards BC to defend the map control push that the attackers are taking. However, the attackers can then go back into A mid or late round, retaking that space once players have rotated off. I think as the meta develops, what's going to happen is, because you've rotated players off of A, you have manpower advantage towards BC, so in the mid and late round, I think the defenders are going to start pushing out of C and B to re-establish the map control and flush out any lurkers who've been left behind. The other main option the attack has is to try and fight into the A aggression. This option is obviously riskier, but most of the compositions we saw had options to try to do so. Omen was the main primary smoker we saw from all 4 compositions, and this is largely because of his ability to one-way A main, but also teleport across to rubble and dodge the early A shutdown util on attack. Similarly, for duelists, Cloud9 use Neon and Paper Rex use Raze for their movement abilities that can get past the early util spam. Both FPX and Karmine Corp chose to play no duelists, so they actually didn't try this approach too much, Karmine Corp never actually attempting the A challenge. FPX had a different approach though, and used this Viper Wall to challenge the space. This wall looks a little strange at first, but it gives a few options. The wall essentially extends the area in which the attack has control towards root, and it denies any usage of the Omen one-way on the main doorway. It allows the attackers to get past the initial choke, jump up on top of the root area, and then when you drop the wall, you have multiple vertical angles and horizontal to face towards the A challenge. The wall also cuts off the orb, forcing defenders to push through the wall if they want to establish orb control. Here's what the full A challenge from FPX looks like. Omen smokes Rebel, TPs into his smoke, and the Viper Wall is brought up. Sky flashes through the wall, and Fade haunts to scan everything in front of the wall. Rebel control is established, and the wall is dropped, and FPX double faces towards sight on this angle. Omen then smokes in front of the stairs, allowing the attack to push up and establish control of the area by the breakable door. FPX then converted this control into an A hit by opening door, using Dog and Prowler to clear the area, and establishing tree control. From here, an Omen smoke has recharged and is used to smoke stairs, while the Viper Orb blocks B link. This allows a two-way split onto A site, with KG controlling the flank and this section which is cut off by the wall. One other idea I wanted to point out is that Paper X used the chamber to safely challenge the A space without committing too much. Forsaken runs out, takes a peek, and Zeppa's flash hits him, triggering Vanity's paranoia. However, Forsaken then is able to freely TP out, safely burning a ton of util in return for only his recharging TP. This is one big strength and why Chamber is actually seeing play on this map. Now that we've talked about A control, let's look at the next layer. As I mentioned, A control is usually established with a lot of players on defense. This often leaves B and C pretty lightly defended, favoring attackers taking space and orbs. We didn't see too many teams thinking past this point, but I believe C9 had a great approach. Cloud9 ran a double sentinel approach, using Ye towards C most of the time unless he had an operator, and by playing Chamber, Ye is able to force more utility usage to take C lobby, allowing an aggro fight and then a TP off. Leaf on the second sentinel Cypher is able to place his trips on B and C pre-round and then join the A take and use his camera to help maintain the space. On attack, the Cypher usually defaulted towards A, throwing a cage to threaten the cross towards Rebel and feeding infos to his team, basically extending the amount of time in which A lobby is threatened. Let's talk about C site now. What we're seeing so far is that C site really just doesn't have that many places to play. It's very easy for the attack to overwhelm the defense on site. However, this plays exactly in reverse once the spike is planted. There's no way to play post-plant from, with the defense often relying on the plant for mound. Part of the issue is that most angles are either exposed to waterfall or spawned, with pretty much only bend and behind this box being reliably safe from both angles. If the defenders have man advantage in the retake, the attack is forced to push something or go for a late wrap through B in order to have a chance in the round. B site plays out pretty similarly, and most teams only hit B when they either have ults or already have taken A control so they can split through link. A site is clearly the easiest to play post plant on, usually with a plant for either main or tree, and there's safe positions for the attackers to play in the post. However, the attack obviously needs to get past the A hold in order to get to A site, so this is the hardest site to get to. In summary, here are the layers of map control that we're typically seeing on this map. Defense shuts down early A control, and in response, the attack takes BC control. Once early control is established, the defenders can either rotate players from the A hold to reinforce B and C, continue to hold A lobby, or try to push through and pressure the attack flank. The attackers have the option of trying to convert into a B or C hit, or leave players where utility inserted and go back to recontest the A hold. This brings us to the late round where the attack needs to hit a site, using any map control and aggressive positions they established as either cross-map lurks or as a staging point for re-aggression. Once the spike is planted, the defense is often looking to envelop the attackers from the flank. This is very easy on both B and C, where you can use the revolving door to pressure mound or B main, but very difficult on A, as Rebel is a power position for holding any pressure from link or stairs. Now obviously not every round will play out like this. We saw rounds where the defense left the A space or retake and instead pushed out of B and C, usually with ultimates, to pinch the attack pressure towards C. In these situations, the attack naturally takes the A space but has to deal with numbers on the flank. In the A retake situations, the defense's goal is to hold onto A heaven, stairs, and the linked door in order to prevent the attack from pushing through the defender's space. However, a clear map control trend has been established and the majority of rounds play out within the A control pattern, or invert the control pattern where defenders take BC space and attack takes A. With these play patterns established, compositions need a few things. On defense, you need utility to shut down A lobby early, strong utility to hold on to the A space in the mid round, and utility to stall out B or C pushes and find picks and retake with man advantage. On attack, your comp needs utility to control BC space early, utility to cross towards Rebel on A to challenge the A hold, mid-round info utility to re-clear A holds, and post-plant utility to stall in the inevitable BC retakes. Neon and Raze have been the duelists of choice due to their util's ability to shut down early A pressure, as well as cross towards Rebel on the attack with their movement. There's been a ton of Sky uses to gain space with Thog and both gain info and take space mid-round with her flashes. Sentinels have mostly involved Killjoy and Chamber due to their ability to stall and fight BC pushes and contest A space on attack. Cloud9's Cypher pick is unique but very cool, as the camera is a strong info tool for A lobby and his cage can threaten the Rebel cross. I imagine the meta and compositions will continue to develop as we see more of this map, and I'm excited to see what other teams bring to the table. As always, thank you so much for watching. Before I end, I'm thinking of doing some free coaching that I'll then post on YouTube. If you're interested, go ahead and send me an email at pwoovalorant@gmail.com. Thanks.